Hey everyone, tonight we are going to be going over your Module 4 practice test. So I'm going to go over each of the questions. You do not have to watch the entire video. You can watch just what you need to get help with for the test tomorrow. So number 1 says, which of the following statements are true? Select all that apply. Okay, this means that there could be more than one answer. Okay, so I'm going to read through each of these, and there could be more than one. So part A says 2 is less than -3. That is not true. 2 is greater than -3. -4 is less than -5 is not true. Remember, when numbers are negative, more actually is less. So -4 is greater than -5 is true. -3 is not greater than +2, and 0 is greater than -45. In number 2, I want to put the integers in order from least to greatest. That is most negative to least negative. So -15 comes first, then -3, then -2, then 0, then 1. Number 3 says the table shows the freezing points to the nearest Kelvin for 6 solvents. Carbon tetrachloride freezes at -23 degrees Kelvin. Between which two substances is the freezing point of carbon tetrachloride? And I'm going to show my work. So what this one is saying is, between which of these two substances does this information fall? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these numbers and I'm going to put them in order from least to greatest. So -116 is first, then -115, then -112. So then -95, then -64, then -6. And then as I'm looking at these numbers, I'm going to say, well, where does -23 go? -23 goes in between these two. So -64 is chloroform, and -6 is aniline. So I'm going to say between chloroform and aniline. Number 4 says write an integer that best represents a loss of 5 yards on a play during a football game. A loss of 5 yards is going to be negative. So -5. And then the meaning of 0. 0 here means no change. The reason why 0 means no change here is because this word describes change. So because the situation is describing a change in yards on a football field, 0 is going to be a change of 0 yards on that football field. So your position on the field is not changing. So 0 means no change. In this one, it says it is 15 degrees below 0. So they're telling me what the temperature is. So 15 degrees below 0 is -15. So the meaning of 0 is 0 degrees, because they're telling me exactly what temperature I'm at in relation to 0. So if I were to draw a thermometer, here's 0 degrees, here's -15, so this is the meaning of 0. Number 6 says, what is the opposite of -132? The opposite of -132 is going to be positive 132. The opposite of 8 is going to be +8. The opposite of +8 is -8, and the opposite of that negative is a positive. The opposite of -4 is +4. And the opposite of the opposite of -7 is -7. Number 10 says, which situation is not best described by a negative integer? A withdrawal means to take money out, so that's -45. A loss of 12 yards is going to be -12. A fine of $15 means I owe someone money, so that's -15. And if I am 10 feet above sea level, I am at +10. So D is going to be my correct answer here. Number 11 says, Princess Anna hiked up the North Mountain to find Queen Elsa in her ice castle that was 1,200 feet above sea level. So I'm going to draw my mountain here. So here's my castle. Here's her little flag, little archway. Okay. And then my castle is 1,200 feet above sea level. Then I've got Ariel swimming around down here, and she's got her little cave of wonders down here that's got all her fancy stuff in it. And she's 250 feet below sea level, so she's at -250. And I want to know the distance, the full distance between these two things. Well, here I've got 1,200 feet, here I've got 250 feet. So I'm going to add 1,200 plus 250, and I get 1,450 feet. These values are on opposite sides of 0, so I'm going to add them together to get the distance between them. In number 12, I am ordering from least to greatest. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to separate negative land from positive land. All of these values are negative, so I don't have to worry about that part. The next comparison I'm going to look for is proper versus improper and my different whole numbers. Well, my only mixed number is this one right here, so that one has to come first. And then I've just got to use the different things on my checklist to compare these numbers. So I can make these two have the same denominator. So this is -10/16, and then I've got -9/16. And the reason I'm going to compare these two first is because they're both bigger than 1/2, where this is 1/2 and 4/9 is less than 1/2. So -10/16 or -5/8 is going to come next. And then -9/16, because it's right next to it. And then as I'm looking at these two, I can again do my comparison to 1/2 because, well, 1/2 is 1/2. So -1/2 comes next. And then -4/9 would be last because -4/9 is less than 1/2. In number 13, again, separating negative land from positive land. So 0 is the great divide. And then I've got a 7/12. That's positive. In this situation, I'm comparing a bunch of mixed numbers that have different whole numbers. So I'm going to go in order by the different whole numbers. So I've got -4 1/3, -3 2/3, -1 5/6. That takes care of all of my negative mixed numbers. Then I've got 0 and 7/12. That's ordering from least to greatest, and two different ways of doing that type of problem. Number 14, I'm comparing -3/4 to -5/6. And these ones I'm going to get a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this one by 3 and this one by 2. So 9/12 and -10/12. -10/12 is actually less because remember in negative land, more is less. So this is number 6, common denominator. This is going to be number 3. We're going to be looking at different whole numbers here. So I actually have to change this number into a mixed number. So I'm going to do 4 into 9. 4 goes into 9 2 times. So I'm actually going to compare 1 and 9/16 to 2 1/4. And 2 1/4 is bigger. Number 16 is going to be comparing the same numerator, so number 4. I would rather share with this person or this many people. These are going to be my bigger slices. So 15 over 124 is bigger. Remember, what goes into absolute value comes out positive. So the absolute value of -5 is +5. The absolute value of +12 is +12. Number 19 says to write the ordered pair for each one. I'm going to add a line for letter E, just like we did in class. So point A, I went over 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, 2, 3. So 4, -3. For B, I'm up here at 2, 4. For C, I'm at -3, 4. For D, I am at -3, -4. For F, I'm at -3, 0. I went to the left 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3. So that's my X axis. And then I did not go up or down. For G, I'm going to go up 2, so I'm staying at 0 and going up 2. And then point E down here is going to be 2, -3. Okay, so make sure you're paying special attention to these two and where they're located on the graph. That'd be good information for your note card. Number 20 says to identify the quadrant that each point is in by putting an X in the correct place. So remember that if I'm looking at a coordinate plane, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. Horizontal is the X and vertical is the Y. So if I'm looking at the point 3, -1, I'm going to go to the right and then down. That's going to be in quadrant 4. If I go to the left 3.5 and then down to -4, I'm going to be in quadrant 3. 0, -6, or not -6, +6. So 0, +6 means I'm going to start at 0 and go straight up. That is on the y-axis. -4.5, 1.75 means to go to the left 4.5 units and then up 1.75 units. That's going to be quadrant 2. And then positive is going to be quadrant 1. So plus, plus, this is minus, plus, minus, minus, and then plus, minus, if that's helpful to you. And then for 3, 0, that means to go to the right 3 and then stay there. That's going to be the x-axis. And then this is good information for your note card. Number 21 says, which of the following statements is true regarding the reflection of point Z, -2 3/4, 1.5? And again, we're going to select all that apply. So that means that there could be more than one correct answer. Part A says, when this point is reflected across the x-axis, the x-coordinate reverses its sign and the y-coordinate stays the same. That is not true. This information is actually flipped. This part is not true, and this part is not true. Part B says the reflection of Z, -2 3/4, 1.5, across the x-axis can be represented by negative 2 3/4, comma, negative or positive 1.5. Well, the x coordinate stayed the same the way it was supposed to, but the y coordinate did not reverse, so B is not true. Part C says when this point is reflected across the x-axis, the x coordinate stays the same and the y coordinate reverses. That is true. That is the definition of a reflection across the x-axis. Part D says the reflection of negative 2 3/4, comma, 1.5 across the x-axis can be represented by 2 3/4, comma, negative 1.5. Well, the x coordinates did not stay the same, so that is not true if we're reflecting across the x-axis. Part E says when this point is reflected across the y-axis, the x coordinate reverses its sign and the y coordinate stays the same. That is true. That is the definition of a reflection across the y-axis. Number 22 says to find the distance between the 2 points. So negative 56, comma, 30 and negative 56, comma, 50. Well, negative 56 is the same, so I'm going to use the other two. They both have the same sign, and same sign means subtract. So I'm going to do 50 minus 30, and I get 20 units. Number 23, we're finding distance again, between 34 and negative 43, and then negative 17 and negative 43. So I'm going to be using 34 and 17. Different signs means add. So I'm going to do 34 plus 17, and I get 51. So 51 units. Number 24 says to graph 4, 3 on the coordinate plane. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to label it Y. And then I want to graph its reflection across the x-axis. So this one right here. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here is Y prime. And then the ordered pair of the reflection is going to be 4, negative 3. X stays the same. Y is the opposite. Number 25 says to write the ordered pair that is a reflection of the point across the y-axis. When we reflect across the y-axis, x is the opposite, and y is the same. So I'm going to write my ordered pair with x as the opposite, so positive 73.5 and negative 37.5 staying the same. Please let me know if you have any other questions outside of the ones that I was able to answer here. Please check out the note card video if you are having some trouble with what should go on that note card. Good luck tomorrow.